Imagine holding a single coin in your hand that looks ordinary, something you might casually drop into a jar or keep in your pocket. But hidden inside that small piece of metal could be a fortune worth millions of dollars. It sounds unbelievable, but for collectors around the world, this is not just a fantasy. One of the most fascinating examples comes from the famous 1964 Kennedy half-dollar, a coin created during one of the most emotional moments in American history. Some of these coins, which originally had a value of just 50 cents, have sold for thousands and even millions of dollars depending on their rarity, condition, and unique minting details. The incredible story behind this coin begins in 1963 after the tragic assassination of John F. Kennedy. The nation was in shock, and within months the United States decided to honor the fallen president by placing his portrait on the half-dollar coin. In 1964, the first Kennedy half-dollars were struck, and the response from the public was immediate and overwhelming. Millions of Americans rushed to banks and coin shops trying to get their hands on this historic coin, not just for spending but for saving as a tribute to the president they admired. What made the 1964 Kennedy half-dollar especially significant was its composition. Unlike later versions, the 1964 coin was made of 90% silver and 10% copper. At the time, silver coins were still common in American currency, but this particular year would become the last time the half-dollar contained that high level of silver. Because of this, the coin quickly became desirable to collectors and investors alike. People began hoarding them, storing them away in drawers, safes, and coin albums. As a result, many of these coins disappeared from everyday circulation almost immediately after they were released. The government had produced millions, but demand was so intense that they were rarely seen in daily transactions. Most people assumed that because millions of these coins were made, they must all be common and inexpensive. However, in the world of coin collecting, small differences can turn an ordinary coin into a treasure. Mint marks, production errors, and the condition of the coin can drastically change its value. The 1964 Kennedy half-dollar was minted in two primary locations, Philadelphia and Denver. Coins from Denver carry a small D mint mark on the reverse side, while those from Philadelphia have no mint mark at all. While both versions are collectible, the most valuable pieces are those preserved in nearly perfect condition, known in the numismatic world as mint state. Another fascinating version of the coin is the 1964 Special Mint Set Kennedy half-dollar. These coins were never officially released into general circulation and were struck with extraordinary care, producing sharp details and a satin-like finish. For decades, collectors debated their origin, because the government never clearly documented their production. Only a small number of these coins exist, which instantly made them legendary among collectors. One example graded in exceptional condition sold for tens of thousands of dollars at auction, showing just how powerful rarity can be in determining a coin's value. But the story becomes even more exciting when we talk about error coins. During the minting process, mistakes sometimes happen. These errors might include doubled images, misaligned dies, or unusual strikes that make the coin unique. In the case of the 1964 Kennedy half-dollar, certain error coins have become extremely valuable. Collectors actively search for varieties such as the accented hair design, which was part of an early proof version of the coin. This design featured more pronounced hair details above Kennedy's ear, but it was quickly modified after the first production run. Because relatively few were made before the design change, these proof coins are highly sought after today. Condition also plays a huge role in determining the price of any collectible coin. A worn coin that circulated for years might only be worth the silver content, perhaps a few dollars above its original face value. But a coin preserved in pristine condition with sharp edges and brilliant luster can command a dramatically higher price. Professional grading companies evaluate coins using a detailed scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded near the top of that scale becomes extraordinarily valuable because so few survive in such flawless condition. Collectors often dream of discovering a hidden treasure in an old coin jar, and the 1964 Kennedy half-dollar is one of the coins that keeps that dream alive. Over the years, stories have surfaced about rare examples selling for astonishing amounts at auctions. Some top-quality specimens have reached prices that shock the public, reminding everyone that tiny historical objects can carry enormous financial value. In rare cases, coins with exceptional grading and unique characteristics can reach six-figure prices, and the most extraordinary examples can approach values that collectors describe as million-dollar class treasures in the numismatic world. Part of the fascination with the 1964 Kennedy half-dollar comes from its powerful connection to history. Coins are more than just currency. They are miniature time capsules. Every detail on the coin reflects the era in which it was created. The portrait of President Kennedy symbolizes hope, change, and the emotional impact of a national tragedy. The rapid creation of the coin also demonstrates how quickly the United States Mint responded to public sentiment, transforming a circulating coin into a lasting memorial. In the years following 1964, the composition of the half-dollar changed. Rising silver prices forced the government to reduce the silver content in coins. From 1965 to 1970, Kennedy half-dollars were made with only 40% silver, and after that the silver was removed entirely from regular circulation coins. Because of this shift, the 1964 version remains especially desirable. It represents the end of an era when everyday American money still contained significant precious metal. For collectors, the thrill of searching for rare coins never fades. Coin shows, online marketplaces, and auctions constantly reveal new discoveries. A coin that sits unnoticed for decades might suddenly be examined closely and found to possess a rare variety or unusual feature. The idea that a 50-cent coin could someday be worth thousands or even millions of dollars fuels the excitement of the hobby. The market for rare coins is driven by passion as much as by investment. Serious collectors study mint records, historical documents, and production techniques to understand exactly how and why certain coins were created. They use magnifying tools to inspect tiny details that most people would never notice. A slight variation in lettering, a different texture in the design, or a subtle minting flaw can transform a common coin into a collector's dream. The 1964 Kennedy half-dollar continues to captivate people more than half a century after it was first struck. It combines history, artistry, precious metal, and the possibility of hidden value. Whether someone is a seasoned numismatist or simply curious about old coins, this piece of American currency offers a remarkable story. It reminds us that sometimes the most ordinary objects in our daily lives can carry extraordinary significance. Even today, collectors carefully search bankrolls, estate collections, and antique shops hoping to uncover a rare example of this legendary coin. The possibility of finding a pristine specimen, a rare proof variety, or a mint error keeps the excitement alive. While most 1964 Kennedy half-dollars will never reach million-dollar status, the existence of extremely valuable examples proves that history and rarity can transform even a simple coin into an incredible treasure. So the next time you see an old silver coin, take a closer look. That small piece of metal might not just be spare change. It could be a silent witness to history, a collector's dream, and perhaps even a hidden fortune waiting to be discovered. The legacy of the 1964 Kennedy half-dollar continues to inspire curiosity, reminding us that sometimes the smallest artifacts hold the biggest stories, and occasionally the biggest rewards. Money bag.